Rise and shine, you overbloated sack of meat and fluid.
Oh.
There we go. There's that dawning moment of realization. Oh, sure, you had your fun before. You had all sorts of laughs and jokes at my expense, pushing me around, insisting I had a girlish crush on some past his prime actor or another. Did it amuse you? Those 2 seconds worth of laughs you might have gotten from someone across millions of miles of internet cable? Some shapeless throng of people whose faces you have never seen and never will. Did it give you anything even remotely resembling satisfaction? Are you entertained? I sure hope so. I sure hope you got something out of it. Because now that you remember that I'm an actual god, now that you remember everything I can do, I really hope you keep that flicker of satisfaction in mind, so you know that is what you threw your worthless little life away for.
Cool speech. Last time I checked, though, you couldn't murder someone by talking at them.
Oh, ye of little faith. Still, if I wanted you dead, I could make that happen with a random thought. Unfortunately, I need you to be more than just another tally mark for my body count. See, I need an FHQ video.
We already have an FHQ video.
Bold of you to assume everyone paid attention to a video that would answer all their questions. Besides, there's been a lot that's changed about the game since the first season.
Could you have maybe waited to change the format of DMP until slightly later than one video after the FHQ is made?
Nah.
Then do this shit yourself. Last time we co-hosted a video, you had a reality-breaking temper tantrum.
Now, we both said a lot of things that you're going to regret, but this time I'm sure you can behave. Much as I would love a world without you in it, I still need you to edit the video.
Okay.
I'm glad you see reason. Now then, just so we're perfectly clear, we are not co-hosts. If anything, this is a minion-mistress relationship, so there are some standards you are going to have to abide to. What the fuck?
There's your video.
Wait!
Let's address some more frequently asked questions about Discord Murder Party.
I am a writer. I am a very good writer. I can create motherfucking worlds with my mind. So when I say words cannot describe just how much I hate you, I want you to truly appreciate the implications of that.
Cool. Well, one more thing before we start. I'm not going to have to do another one of these when Season 3 gets going, am I?
Oh, most definitely. Hop to it, minion. Oh my god, I've explained this like a million times.
Yet we still have new people come in. Plus, we now play games other than Mafia.
You fucking explain it then.
Okay. Mafia. You got people who are bad and people who are good. They don't know who's who, except the bad people. Bad people want to eliminate everyone but themselves. Good people want to eliminate the bad people. Once bad people are all gone, or there's no feasible way to get them all out before they equal or exceed good people, game's over with one team winning.
You are so quick to call the team that murders the bad people.
And then tabletop. Kinda, sorta. We still play it over Discord and Roll20 because gathering everyone around an actual table is insane. The short version is, every character has aspects, things that help define who they are. They use these aspects and roll dice to accomplish whatever the goal of the scenario is. Whether that be taking down a giant robot dragon, playing beach volleyball, or killing everyone else. They can spend story points to invoke their aspects and give them an advantage on dice rolls, as well as help the other players, because the power of teamwork is great, okay?
It has its ups and downs.
It gets more complicated than that, but all you need to know is, awakened characters have more health than unawakened.
Sleeper. We're calling them sleepers now. Unawakened sounds really dumb.
Awakened characters have more health than characters who have not yet gone through an awakening, but can take more permanent injuries. Results are a simple matter of rolling 2 sets of dice against each other, subtracting the lower roll from the higher one, and basing the degree of success on how big the resulting number is. And if you're not rolling against another player, you roll against the Game Master, who I'm sure would be totally fair and unbiased if it was anyone but the God of Murder.
Fuck you, I am totally fair! In fact, no, let's settle this right now. Ha! I rolled 3,872!
I got a 6.
Well, darn, what a shame. It looks like I'm fair and balanced after all.
Oh yeah, the actual game is like half of what we do. There's a whole meta plot.
You see, all the souls playing in my murder game may take on different forms from scenario to scenario, but it's one person behind the mask. One person who made a deal with me in their hour of greatest need.
You didn't even show up for Tommy.
I was busy, okay? I couldn't reschedule my therapist's appointment any further.
And what about Valencia? All she did was read about you. You never actually really did anything in Provom.
Your petty poking at my perfectly crafted plot is irrelevant. Anyway, when one of the souls remembers their true self, that starts the process of awakening and they regain their true form. However, they are not truly awakened until they receive 3 things from me: their name, their full story, and their title. They need all 3. Otherwise, even with their form, they're just...
Sleepwalking?
Listen, if unawakened was one of your best ideas, why the hell do you think I would allow you to name any other term for these people? Anyway, when awakened, the souls have to pick a side. Go with Vincent Marshall Reed in his doomed crusade to try and free everyone, or side with me, the objectively correct choice. Vinny needs all the souls on his side to start the endgame, and maybe win. I only need 1. In fact, I already have 1.
Yeah, this one does seem to trip people up.
People can't possibly expect me to bear the burden of telling an awakened story all by myself. I need to have props to help me out. Enter the reflections.
You know, normally we call them actors.
And I call them props. Let's agree to disagree, shall we? Anyway, everyone has people they care about. A loving grandfather, an adorable little kid, an emotionally abusive uncle. And whenever a soul gets close to awakening, reflections come out to help them learn their story. I don't necessarily have the souls of everyone related to those I've made a deal with playing the murder games, but I can conjure up a reasonable facsimile based on the soul's memories.
So, when you say they're related...
No! That does not mean whoever plays the reflection is related to the awakened.
Ah, but that's where you're wrong!
What? Look, whatever bullshit you're about to spew, you are talking to the actual author here. If you're about to call me wrong about how my own goddamn story works...
You see, every single character is actually interconnected. By working with theory after theory, I have come up with a definitive, actual Discord murder party family tree.
You know, I don't know what I expected, but this is worse. This is infinitely worse. I have never craved your death more than I have now. None of this is correct. None of it.
Oh, you'll change your tune when you hear my theory. You see, it all starts with Pastor Brian.
No! Get that thing out of here! Whatever nonsense you just drew, it is completely incorrect. These people are not related. God, you make Tommy's actor play Graham 1 time and suddenly everyone is Grace's uncle.
2 times.
Not the damn point. Anyway. Reflections are related to the awakened, but the awakened are not necessarily related to each other, and the reflections are not hints as to who the awakened's identity playing them is. For instance, Tommy, who was born a good 40 years after Grace was abducted, is not secretly Graham Garden, nor is Dr. McGillicuddy, taken some 10 years before Christine Forks, actually her husband Matthew. I could go on here.
No need. That said, remember that thing from the last FHQ about actors from the first series not being part of the metaplot? Well, they kind of are now. See, the idea was to open up parts that other people available at the Sunday night stream slot could play. And thus we have people like Xander, Rob, Shiner, Chi-Chi, Tom, and Carl playing Reflections when they don't otherwise play DMP.
Of course, it turns out having a cast of a bunch of actors also makes them want to try out for parts. So this fucker and some of the other cast members also play Reflections. It turns out the meat sack has one thing going for him: a large cast and crew of talented people.
And the ability to edit videos.
Please, I have multiple editors now. You're barely of use to me. God fucking damn it!
First, we're gonna take all the slightly DMP-related streams and put them into a big pile. We've got Discord Spook Party, we've got Discord Holiday Party, we've got The Acolyte.
God, that guy is an asshole.
I know, right? And we're gonna toss them away because they are not canon and do not affect the plot of DMP. Then we're gonna take Working Week and Twitter, give them pats on the head, and throw them away too because they are slightly more related but also not canon.
Well, yes, I did make a deal with the Eldritch Lords of Comcast to get internet out in the void so the Awakened don't complain about how bored they are for all eternity. Anything that happens on there is, at best, highly embellished from my meticulously crafted tale. I mean, the talking penguin? Setting the pool on fire? The endless pizza room? Please. There's only so much chaos I can handle without saying the Twitter sphere affects it.
And as for Back to the Working Week, that was a fanfiction I wrote after watching far too much Agretsuko and BoJack Horseman. People seemed to like it, so I kept adding on to it. People still seem to like it, so we did art venture streams based on the setting. But they're just that. Art venture. Not DMP. As much as we'd all love for everyone's favorite big titty goth GF to show up in Discord Murder Party, the most she could get away with is a cameo.
Believe it or not, I really don't feel like wrangling a giant cannibal god away from the souls that I worked so hard to get into the games.
She's still in Cannibal Conspiracy too.
Hey, no! No advertising your streams on a thing for my streams. God, some people, no class whatsoever.
Please watch Kristen. And speaking of Zephy cameos,
we have a wheel we spin once we reach a certain number of donated bits on Twitch. Or at least we try, when the damn thing wants to show up.
Failing that, you could just straight up give us $20. Either during stream, or if there's no feasible way for you to make it, through our PayPal with a note that it's for DMP. That'll let you either pick a result from the wheel without spinning it, or send in your own improv idea.
We used to have people submit scenario ideas, but spaces filled up quickly. And while I do appreciate everyone's money, I have to have some of my own brilliant ideas as scenarios. As for what the improv could be, well, your imagination is the limit. They only take effect for one round, but you could call in the Working Week characters as cameos, give me a case of the munchies.
Before she finishes the list, I'd just like to say anything within reason. We're not DMP After Dark, so keep it PG-13 or soft R.
Right. You also have to keep in mind that it has to be something any of the actors involved are comfortable with, and it can't affect the plot. So if your improv suggestion is Dr. McGillicuddy tells everyone his backstory, shockingly, that's not gonna happen.
Similarly, if your suggestion is Alex talks about how James Cameron is the nicest man in the world, that's also not going to happen.
Other than that, the sky's the limit. Or the wheel. The wheel is also the limit. Give us your money. You can probably use it as a tax write-off for religious purposes. I'm a god.
Yeah, we have really ramped up production since the days of a static image, flailing to put up the right Red X, and the Sexy Brutale soundtrack.
It's amazing what having ideas from people who aren't you can get.
Yep.
You're supposed to be insulted.
And yet, despite the fact that you're right, we still have a way better show than we did in Season 1. So yeah, thanks everybody who's not me.
Whatever. Wasn't there an actual question here at one point?
Oh yeah, it was asking when you're gonna post the songs or whatever.
We recently released the full Season 2 OST on our YouTube channel. The music might show up in other places someday, but that's a future problem. For now, if you want to hear the songs outside of the episode, you'll have to wait until the end of a season when we collect them all into a video.
That said, for legal reasons, not every music track we use is in the soundtrack. I'm sure some of you recognize Kevin MacLeod music in many scenarios, but he has not, in fact, scored an entire YouTube series once again. We're just sharing the tracks that the cast and crew composed for DMP. If you want to know what a specific song was, check the YouTube credits, and if it's not there, go bother—
Do not bother me about it, I am a very busy god.
If you please. Go bother Kristen about it. She'll fix them eventually. You're not Kristen, you're good. You can be bothered about other things.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Meat Sack. Some people just refuse to acknowledge that this Kristen person and I are separate people.
One last thing about the music. Let's talk about the doot-doot-doos.
No. Let's never talk about the doot-doot-doos ever again. No one deserves that slice of personal hell. No one.
Says Murder God running Discord Murder Party. Anyway, the particular track is called 90s Sitcom Joy by John Bartman.
And this Kristen motherfucker paid all of $2 in PayPal money and infinite suffering for it. Regrettably, suffering cannot be calculated into either monetary value or murder bucks, because if it could, I would be on the longest fucking vacation right now.
And that would mean I could leave.
Some wishes will never come true, Mietzak.
Valencia sure did throw open the floodgates for theories, didn't she? But I guess parallel universes do tend to do that. See, in the far-off land of the Provam Empire, magic is real, dragons are real, and your dad could be a horrifying deer man blessed by one of the Black Stars. Cernos may not have the charisma or looks of some of the other gods, but he's still a real deer.
Ha ha, wow, what a funny joke. I've never heard that joke before. Truly, you are a master of the comedic arts.
Now, in full Henry VIII fashion, Artorias really wanted a son to be blessed by the dark god Cernos, but had a daughter instead. So he did what any sensible person would do, and sacrificed a whole bunch of people to eventually get a son with beautiful golden hair and horns of white.
Incredible. You've actually read something that's not a bunch of useless text messages on your phone. But you're missing a lot of details. See, a proper heir of Cernos, also known as the Cernos Chosen, calls for a sacrifice to the forest. So if King Artorias wanted his daughter to be a Cernos Chosen, he would have had to kill Queen Gwyn, which is a bad look when you've just married into a matriarchy. So he sired Valencia the, normal way, then spent a good 20 years dragging random villagers out into the woods.
20 years? Why the fuck did it take 20 years?
Well, because the Black Stars are the be-all and end-all. We are all that matters, and all that will be. And it's only in true understanding that you receive power. So if you're in this specifically for your own power without acknowledging where you're getting it from, well, the Black Stars aren't about to bless you with a horrifying deer baby and more power. And I don't know if you noticed, but Artorias was kind of a dick. Actually, fun fact, the only reason he finally succeeded is because the Black Stars were like, well, the rebellion's gonna happen, this is a lost cause. Here, have a deer baby on loan. We'll be getting it back in a few hours. So Artorias got his child and intended to sacrifice Valencia to give him and his son power, but in came the rebellion, which meant a lot of bloodshed and a dead royal family, deer baby included. If your service to the Black Stars isn't working out as planned, well, bloodshed is attainable from multiple means.
Well, that's fucked.
Oh, don't get me started!
I won't. If you go into the details of Cernos' chosen birth, we are super demonetized.
Horrifying tree babies! Yay!
Yep. But, this is a two-part question, honestly. Like, people think someone else from the Provam Empire is taking part in the murder games. More specifically, that someone playing is Artorias' son, and thus the chosen of Cernos and Valencia's sister.
What? No, they're not. The deer baby is, like, super fucking dead. Like I said in the reflections question, and despite the monstrosity that is the family tree this fucker made, not everyone in DMP is related to one another. It's far more likely that they're total strangers, with stuff like Junior and Kristen being an outlier.
Plus, a lot of the theories on who the kid is don't work. We've got Thorin, who is not only not from the Provam Empire, but also pretty obviously not blonde, and we've got Murder God herself.
Seriously? Did everyone only pay attention to that one particular sentence and all that backstory? It was clearly mentioned that I existed way before Artorias' son was born. And for that matter, do I look like a deer? Does it look like I have horns? Do I look like a boy? I have tits! Ugh, this is what introducing lore into the mix gets me. Alright, so exposure to the Black Stars tends to, alter people. We're beyond your mortal comprehension, after all, so either you adjust to the knowledge, or you collapse. Things start slow. First you just get headaches, like what happened to Valencia when she peered into King Artorias' books. Then, little by little, your mind shifts. Things you never would have considered before suddenly seem more viable, such as Junior's first kill.
Is this where you say Junior did nothing wrong?
What? No, Junior still had to pull the proverbial trigger. Or the actual trigger in the case of Christine's family. But you know, jokes aside.
Child murder is a joke?
Jokes aside, the Black Stars first chip away at your sanity. Should you give in and start acting in their favor, your body starts to change along with your mind. Junior was on the first of my little perks with his super strength. Had he kept going, he would have gotten all kinds of goodies. Speed, the ability to meld into shadows, wings...
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, if you keep doing my bidding, you eventually start growing feathers, wings, multiple eyes, beaks, plural, you know, normal Elder Torah stuff.
So, like Daniel in the Lotus Eater episode?
Correct. He was obviously a lot further down the road than Junior was.
Yeah. How did Junior not notice his father figure was a bird person?
Oh, once you get far enough into the transformation, the black stars gift you with a fun little thing called glamour. To the normal eye, you appear human, even though you haven't been for a long time. You're still a bird or a fish or whatever, but those around you simply can't see it. A black star follower can choose to drop this whenever they'd like, and when they do, there's a fun little transformation that happens. Hence why Valencia had no idea her dad was a deer monster until the most dramatic moment possible.
But King Artorias followed Cernos, right?
Correct. Artorias followed Cernos, who is a different black star. Hence, deer person, not a bird person.
And Junior's friend Dorcas was a fish person, so... Wait, how many black stars are there?
It's fine, don't worry about it.
In the strictest manner of speaking, yes. Multiple times over.
They got better.
Did they, though?
Fair.
That said, I get the feeling this question has also been phrased about specific awakened. Like, was Thorin alone for 3 years?
God, no! Did people miss the part of his backstory where he spent that time with Simon? Are people just selectively listening to the backstory? No 5-year-old is gonna survive in the wilderness for 3 years!
So what you're saying is he died of exposure after Simon died?
Listen, I can see where that interpretation is coming from, but I would not let that happen. This isn't over the garden wall. I'm not an operatic bass-singing tree monster. As for some of the others, Percy didn't die when he made the deal. Neither did Grace, or Junior, or Christine.
Grace was in the middle of London running around outside during air raids. Junior was about to be raided by the Black Stars cult. Christine's house collapsed on her and was on fire. Those people were about to die.
Semantics. Petty semantics. Besides, even if they were about to die, the majority of them had to be alive to make a deal with me. Corpses tend to be very bad at articulating their greatest desire.
So the moral of this story, no. Dying is not a prerequisite to become an awakened soul. Though some were probably minutes or seconds away from death when they got whooshed away, and some were basically dead already. Except Percy. Unless, like, a cow was about to fall on him from 30 stories up.
You know, every once in a while, you actually do have a good idea, Fleshbag.
Ah, yes, John. Truly the greatest awakened among us.
He was never actually awakened. You see, there are 2 explanations you could follow here. Both equally true, of course. It just depends on how deep into the meta you want to go. One is that Kikyo, one of the original cast members, consistently had loud noises from the outside leak into the microphone. Noises that very blatantly did not belong in the scenarios.
Party John had already beaten the murder games 3 times over, and so brought a friendly dog and a DJ for his victory lap.
Shut up! You don't win the murder games! The other reason, the reason in the actual story, is that John just got stuck. You see, the awakened soul was supposed to take on different identities every scenario, but John refused to go away. He thought he had a story of his own, a love, all of those wonderful things. But he didn't.
John is actually immortal. Every scenario is just a scrapbook of his adventures across time and space.
That is blatantly incorrect, and you know it. Anyway, this was a mistake I obviously had to rectify, so I pulled John from the void, took his story back, and set that particular soul back into its proper path.
John got bored of the murder games, so he went off to go suplex the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Oh my god, stop! You looked over the John send-off script. You approved it. You know damn well what the story of John is. Why do you keep doing this?
John may be gone, but his epic adventures shall never die in the hearts of true believers.
I'm cursed. I'm cursed. I have to be. I try to give John a story and no one hears it. I try to send off John and no one understands it. I set up a frequently asked questions video and nobody watches it!
So, quick question. How does awakening work?
No one will find your body. Well, minion, I'm all ears about your dumb theories now. Did Christine join John riding a unicorn that poops diamonds so she could suplex velociraptors from the moon?
Don't be ridiculous. Raptors are from Saturn.
Of course, of course. How foolish of me to think otherwise.
As for the actual answer, watch and find out?
If you're asking us questions about things that haven't happened yet in the story, why the fuck do you think I would give you spoilers? What makes you think you deserve to know the reveal before it actually happens?
You have to understand, going into DMP, all the cast really knew was the backstories of their own character, and an idea of what might happen during their awakening arc. The full story lies solely with the God of Murder here. So if you're asking the cast about their story, we won't tell. If you ask the cast about someone else's story, we won't know. And if you ask the Goddess of Death to tell you story spoilers, I am not responsible for what happens.
Oh, by all means, continue to theorize. Wild guesses as to how this twisted tale plays out are always entertaining, and I do love when an audience is engaged enough to pick up on whatever evidence they think they can find. I'm not going to confirm any of it, of course, at least not until and unless they're proven right during the actual show. Definitely not before.
We also won't deny theories outright, unless there's been proof, again in the show itself, that they don't work. Like, say, the Awakened can't leave the lounge because Zephy's out there and will devour them.
That's not to say there isn't anything out there. We technically haven't discounted all of that theory.
There's a lot of Jack Squat, the world's leading void, but it sure as hell ain't the cannibal god out there. Didn't we already get this question?
Yes, but we get it very, very often. Don't tell me you don't remember the frequently part of frequently asked questions.
Fair. Anyway, when DMP started, it was all improv. Then, well, plot happened. Generally speaking, when plot happens, only those involved have a full idea of what's going to happen. But as more and more people got awakened, and we started having more and more moving parts, well, a lot more has to be scripted to keep everything moving.
Well, of course, people have some freedom of dialogue. We have story beats, and they must be followed. Anything outside of them, for instance, gameplay and scenarios, is completely improvised.
Even then, a lot of the time we've scripted out an ending scene for those scenarios. With that, and the plot getting deeper and deeper, honestly, we're a lot closer to a live theater podcast than we were when we started DMP. With all the trip-ups and stumbles that live theater implies.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have never made a mistake in my endless life. It's everyone else that makes mistakes.
And I'm sure you can chide them for it when you actually turn your microphone on.
Listen! Let me make this perfectly clear, you mindless drones. Vincent Marshall Reed had his chances. Over and over and over. And through sheer human stupidity and not realizing a good deal when they saw one, people sided with him over me. Me! The actual god who could give them anything they wanted! It took a child to see what actual grown adults could not, and with Thorin Blue at my side in the Black Stars, Vincent has failed. I have won, and there is nothing left for him now, nothing.
Sweet! Finally, I'm free!
Wait! Nothing left but endless games of death! You're not done yet.
Too late, I'm out of here. Game's over. I can move on with my life. I can write so many things.
No, you can't! We've still got Season 3, Meat Sack. Did you think I'd let you out of my clutches that easily? No. The audience needs more. So many questions left unanswered, and the masses are out there chomping at the bit. Who am I to deny them? Who are you to deny them? So no, you insolent fucking clown. You don't get to walk out on me. Vincent's game is over. Mine never ended. And there is nothing you can do to stop me. Oh my god, fucking stop!